Hi everyone, Kelt here, bringing you my thoughts on the British royal family, and today I'll be talking about Harry's visit to a military hospital in Nigeria. This was actually a no-go zone, known for armed bandits and kidnappers, and Harry was advised against travelling to this place, so he has absolutely no argument as regard his security if he ever does take risks like that. This is the Kaduna state northwest of Abuja. The Foreign Office advises against all travel to this place. And interestingly, Harry left Meghan behind for this visit, and he actually apologised upon arrival for leaving his wife behind. For a start, it did not look like a hospital ward, more like a convalescent home. There were no water jugs by the beds, no IV drips. The men were in scrubs which looked brand new and straight out of the packet. One man had a t-shirt on under his. They also were not wearing wristbands, and there was no bedding, just bottom sheets. It looked more like a hostel. The whole situation seemed very staged. Even the guide or the medic or whoever he was in the uniform looked nervous, as if he was worried about what would happen next when Harry was talking to the man with the supposed prosthetic leg. The man on the bed to whom Harry was speaking did not look as if he had just had surgery to have a leg removed. It would have been bandaged if that was the case, and it would definitely have been supported or propped up on the bed, not hanging down the side of the bed right after an op. Also, if it was more of a convalescent ward, then there was no real visual of a prosthetic leg. The man's left leg was hanging off the bed, and I think it was very possible that he might have been hiding the fact that he had not had an amputation. He seemed as though he did not want to interact with Harry, and Harry appeared to be irritated by this. Harry's interaction with the man was impatient, and he couldn't even hide his anger as he walked off. His thumbs up was an aggressive FU rather than a genuine thumbs up whereby glad everything is okay, or good luck even. If this man had genuinely had a leg amputated and Harry was forcing him to name his leg, his prosthetic leg, it would be regarded as bullying someone in a vulnerable situation. Harry was waving his arms around and said to the man lying on the bed, "I remember you from last year. I worked for you, right?" And then, pointing towards where the man's prosthetic leg was supposed to be, said, "Have you given it a name?" The man looked confused, and Harry said it twice. "Have you given it a name?" However, I have reason to believe that this was a total performance, not just for Netflix, but for everyone, the media, the whole world. When he started speaking to the man, he said, "I remember you from last time, right?" And then he said, "Have you named it? Have you named it?" Putting pressure on him to either say yes, he'd named his leg, or to say yes, that he's going to. This is something that Harry is trying to put on this man, which is not suitable for his situation. In the military, and especially the people that Harry has met through Invictus, it's common for them to have a dark sense of humour and name their prosthetic limbs in a way to deal with it. Harry is friends with a man who did name his prosthetic limb and made frequent jokes about it. So Harry thinks that he can treat this Nigerian man in the same way, who might, if he had just lost a leg, be still traumatised. But it doesn't add up to me, because you don't put a prosthetic leg on a recently amputated stump or wound. Surely it has to heal first. So surely having a prosthetic leg fitted would be when he's on crutches and out and about, not lying on a bed, trying to look as though he's just had surgery. I have since learned that this was indeed a setup and totally staged, and that Harry's anger and frustration towards this man was because this man felt he wasn't being paid enough for acting this role, and also Harry's treatment of him did not go down well. He was not performing as Harry wanted. Harry wanted him to come up with a name for his leg and to play the part, and to respond, but this guy seemed to be unimpressed with Harry and not wanting to cooperate. As a result, there were several attempts at filming this, much to the annoyance of Harry, who just wanted to go in and go out, and these men totally knew how fake Harry is and what this was all about. It was not about anyone's welfare, nor helping anyone. But they were not going to play Harry's game, and although they had been encouraged to play their part, they were amongst those who were totally disillusioned with Harry and Meghan and their visit. It was definitely a locking of horns between them, and Harry could see that this man was not going to comply, and it really annoyed Harry, and you could see he could not hide that. He tried to, and he tried to act all high energy and joking, but in a passive-aggressive way. And the way that Harry bent his knees and bounced up and down in a way to portray the man walking with his prosthetic leg, it was patronising and embarrassing. And I still believe that that man very likely did not even lose his leg, and that it was bent down the side of the bed and a cloth was put over his knee. Why else would it be there? Surely your leg or the stump would be up on the bed. You wouldn't have it hanging over the side. So I think it was a very quick attempt at trying to make it look a certain way. Very quickly staged, because they could have put jugs and glasses of water there. They could have tried to be more convincing, but they didn't. Even down to that man's leg, or alleged lack of. I'm glad they weren't playing his game. I think it's good for these people, for some of these people, not to comply, and not to, even if they're getting paid, not to just bend to Harry and Meghan when they flick their fingers. And when Harry had started talking to him, he said, "I remember you from last time, right?" And it was almost as if he'd said this a few times. He wanted to remind that man that he was in control. It was strange. It was a very strange thing to say if he'd just gone in and seen that man and he said, "I remember you from last time, right?" It seems a very strange thing to say right. So it does look very much as if they'd had this conversation more than once, and that this was that man's cue when Harry says, "I remember you from last time, right?" And it's right now. Now say your lines. This is the way it seems to me. It just seems so fake. It was almost like Harry saying, "Right, do it right this time." They were not going to play Harry's game, and although they had been encouraged to play their part, they were amongst those who were totally disillusioned with Harry and Meghan and their visit. There were also others who were disillusioned and complained about the way that Meghan hugged their children while she was half naked in the dresses she wore. I have not heard the outcome of this. There are rumours that these two mothers had been arrested just for speaking out against Meghan, when most of us are free to criticise. These women were not. Being a primarily Muslim country, Meghan was hugging people, mostly men and children, whilst wearing clothing that barely covered her and looked as if it could easily fall off. So it will be interesting to hear more about what happens to these women, and it's such a shame because it's been said that they were taken to scare other people from speaking out about this, from complaining about the way that Meghan and Harry behaved on this tour. It all seems to be very staged and very controlled by the Sussex team. So let me have your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye. Way to portray the man walking with his prosthetic leg.